good morning to you, man. Louisville is in the house. Yes, sir. Early bird gets the worm, man. You said you started the beginner basic course. Good, man. Good to hear. Very good to hear. So we got, who's that? Tsetso? Did I say it right? From South Africa. Greetings to you. Music for Jesus. Music for Jesus. Good morning. Let me get my tongue together this morning. Good morning to you, Andrew. Good morning. Happy New Year to you, man, as well. As I'm blessed to be here for the first Grooves and Motivation. Grooves and Motivation, first one of this year. Aaron Harris. Good morning to you. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We're gonna have a little fun this morning and talk a little bit. Y'all know how we do it. Starting the new year off. Really happy to hear everybody that's here, man. I really enjoyed the last one we did. I think it was good. I'm happy how we closed out 2020, moving on into year 2021. So just getting this thing kicked off right, going into it with the right mindset, with the right attitude, that whole thing. And keeping the music, making everything feel good. So yeah, thank y'all for that so much, man, for just joining with me this morning. I know some of y'all are still vacationing. A lot of people have already went back to work, but wherever you find yourself, I'm thankful that you're here. Super grateful this morning that you're here with me. But yeah, let's play around a little bit. I was just messing around with that little idea that I was playing. Yeah, just playing around with some stuff. I had this other little groove that is actually an excerpt from one of my songs. I was playing around with that as well this morning, so I'll kind of goof around on that a little while some more people drop in. Get the grooves part going, you see. Minor, major, whatever. What's up, folks? All right, so let me check out some more of these comments here. Um, we got Stefano Base. How do you like Cali monitors? Just purchased. Yeah, I like them, man. You said, do you plug the sound card? Or do you always use the amp? Yeah, I'm actually going through both. I'm going through the interface on the computer, and I'm using my amp. So yeah, I use both. When I'm recording bass, I like to be able to feel the bass. So I'll plug in and turn my rig on, but I also use the I'll use the monitors and that kind of thing. Unless it's a session where I'm recording vocals as well, like when I record my lessons and that kind of thing, I turn the monitor off because I don't want the microphone picking it up, that kind of thing. But other than that, I'm cranking that rig because I want to hear the actual sound of the rig. I mean, it's low enough where I can get a good sound before cranking the rig up. I know what sound I'm getting through the going direct, and most of the EQ that I have is coming from my bass, so the sound is not much different. You might have just a little bit more bottom end, a little bit more clarity on the high end, depending on how it's EQ'd for the most part. But yeah, I'm pretty much getting a consistent sound across the board. So, but I just like to have that meat and potatoes behind me, or the beef behind me rather. So yeah. So Vic, good morning to you, man. Happy New Year. Jerry, good morning to you. New Jersey is in the building. Andre, good morning to you. Happy Funky New Year. Appreciate that. Good morning, Tiffany. Happy New Year to you. Bernard, good morning, man. Kenya's in the building. Stephen, good to see you, man. Good to see your comment, rather. I can't see y'all. Y'all can see me. No problem, Stefano. Brother Morgan, last night I put your album, The Journey Continues, The Groove, man. It's hot, man. Thank you so much for that. That's funny that you say that because I actually been listening to that record myself. I say that jokingly. That album is like 10 years old now for me, so it's like real old. But I've been listening to that album myself, just kind of going back through it and listening through some of the tunes. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. I like that one. I'm not sure about that one. But overall, I like it. It was just, that was my introduction to this whole solo bass artist, if you will, that whole album. So kind of me getting acquainted with the inner bass player. So, all right, so today I want to talk about something. This kind of ties into what I want to talk about: unlocking the genius. Unlock the genius. How do we do that? And do we all have genius level ability inside of us? And I would dare to say that we all do. But one of the things I've been on lately is kind of realizing that most of us don't tap into. Some people never tap into that ability. Some people never tap into that potential. Some people tap into it occasionally, and some people like tap into it like maybe, once every blue moon. You know how many blue moons we get. So it's one of those things that you're not aware. Some people aren't aware that that's what it is. This genius level of what they have inside of them, and it's just for creatives. I'll use that because I know most of the people watching me are musicians. So for creatives, it's that place where you can't really describe where it comes from. And I call it genius, and there's a lot of different levels of it. And, it depends on your perspective. It depends on how you see things, that kind of thing. I know for me, I credit it. I can't take credit for any. If you've been here more than once, and I'm sorry for not saying this, but welcome to Grooves of Motivation. I'm Jermaine Morgan. This is what we do every Tuesday morning, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if you know me, you already know where I stand. You know that I credit all of this to God, to Jesus giving me this ability through the gifting of the Holy Spirit to do what I do. And that's not trying to be too deep, but that's what it is. I can't give any credit to anything else. But that quote unquote genius level comes from that gifting that I'm able to readily access. Now, I will say this. Through skills and preparation and doing the necessary practice and all of that kind of stuff. That's how you develop to be able to, pull out whatever ideas. It's just not something you're gonna sit there and, well, this is a gift that's given to me. I don't even have to try. No, you have to. You have to try. I've gave this example, not to get down a rabbit hole, but I've given this example more than one time. My daughter was born, and just for you guys that think it's something that some people have and some people don't have to really work on it because it's just natural for them. I gave this example several times. My daughter, I was able to see it firsthand, because some of you may look at me and like, man, you're really talented and you naturally got it. I'm like, yeah, no, to a certain degree. But my daughter was literally born with it. She was born with a gift of hearing music a different way, literally hearing music in colors, perfect pitch, the whole 9 yards. So with that being said, you would think, because she's a child prodigy, you would think she would sit down to the keyboard and just know it and figure it all out. And that's not true. And I'm getting to see that. And the more I'm getting to see that through my daughter, the more it's becoming apparent to me that no one has a easy time getting this. Now, some things may be a little bit more clear we're talking about the whole genius, unlocking the genius. Some things you might just get a little quicker, like my daughter. My daughter is 9, and my son is now 6. And there are some things that my daughter naturally hears a little better than my son right now, like hearing harmonies and stuff like that. She was hearing that at 3, a little better than my son. As a matter of fact, my younger daughter, who is now 3, she's hearing harmonies and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if she has perfect pitch. I don't know. It'll be funny. It skipped all the way over me and go to both my daughters. I don't think my son has it. He hasn't shown signs of perfect pitch just yet, so I don't think he has it. But I know for sure my oldest daughter have it. But all that being said, it's something that she has to work on. She gets frustrated just like anybody else, and she's still very early in her journey. Even though she's practicing the keyboard, she's hearing it. I will say this, when it comes to the natural singing ability, her natural instrument, the vocal, she can hear it and she can sing, because that's like, I'm not going to say the easiest, but if you have some type of gifting musically, that's one of the easier gifts to develop, because it doesn't require any mechanics as it pertains to having to get your hand coordination together. Like, your voice is natural. You speak with your voice. So singing, being able to sing more skillfully as you sing and practice more, that's going to naturally develop. So her voice is developing a lot faster than her ability to play. But she can play. She can play the keyboard, and she's picking up a little guitar. That kind of is in and out. So, you know what I'm saying? So that whole thing, it's there, but it has to be developed. Where am I going with this? Why am I telling you all this kind of stuff? I'm saying that to prove a point. Yes, some people are born with natural abilities. So for some of you, for you watching this morning, it might take you a little longer to get where you're trying to go as a player, as a creative, but that doesn't mean it's unattainable. Now, the people who excel at it are the people who regularly tap into that area of creativity. How now becomes the question: do we tap into that level of creativity? Do we tap into that genius, quote unquote, that genius level? It's really pulling out of you what's already in there. So when I credited earlier, when I talked about, the gifting that's given through my relationship with God, and just the gift He naturally gave me being able to tap into what's already in there and pull it out, because most of the stuff I'm playing, I didn't play it as fast, but some of this stuff, when I started really learning, I could hear it. I didn't understand what I was hearing, but I could hear it. So yeah, again, that part is a gifting, but I still had to work to be able to develop my hands and to be able to play the stuff that I'm hearing, so that I could just go in and out of chords and that kind of stuff and just have fun with what I'm doing. I had to really, really work on that. But that comes from listening to music, listening to a lot of music, not just listening. Before some of you guys, I've been listening to music all my life. Listening with the intent of actually trying it. not looking at something and becoming intimidated by it, allowing fear to get out of the way, self-doubt. We talked about that stuff a lot. If you've been here for a while, we've talked about all that stuff a lot. Allowing that fear, and that some of y'all, see, you've been around here. I've been doing this, Grooves and Motivation. I think I started at the end of 2019, but we went strong in 2020. But you've been hearing me talk about this for a while, and you're still dealing with it. I'm coming down your street today. But you're still dealing with this fear thing, and the fear thing is the biggest thing that causes you not to tap into the genius level that you have inside of you, because you're always second guessing what you have. And the other thing, we've talked about it before, playing the comparison game. Comparing what you do to what someone else do that's in your field or that's in your lane, so to speak. You comparing what you do to what they do. And the fact that yours doesn't sound like them. When you play that comparison game and that fear creeps in, it's hard to unlock that stuff that's on the inside of you, because you're always hearing what somebody else is doing instead of focusing on what you have inside of you. Now, I mentioned this on last week. I watched this video by this young guy, Jacob Collier. A lot of you may know him. Music phenomenon. If you haven't heard of him, do yourself a favor when this is over and Google him or look him up on YouTube. Jacob Collier. He plays like 1,000 different instruments. No exaggeration. But the only thing that separates him from most other creatives is the fact that he regularly taps into that genius level of creativity. Meaning, over time, constantly stretching the envelope of what he's able to do, you start to develop a sound. How I can talk about this and how I know this is when I was younger and I was starting to create music at a younger age, I would create music without restraint, like without holding back. Whatever I heard in my head, I'll put it like this. My musical ability, this might not make any sense to some of you, but my musical ability didn't match the stuff that I was creating. I was hearing stuff that didn't match my ability to play. Now, when I was recording it, I could record it because, if I got to do one note at a time, or I got to, play it slow or something like that, play it over and over until I can get it, I could hear it. So when I started recording and creating all these different things, my ability to hear it and to create it exceeded my ability to fluently play it. But as I regularly tapped into that at a young age, my playing ability started to grow. It started to get better and better and better, because now I'm chasing this thing that my ears, I'm chasing this genius level creativity. I'm chasing it, and my playing is starting to try to match up with what I'm hearing. As for some of you, that might be a little bit more difficult, because it all has to do with culture, what you're surrounded by, what you're exposed to. Now, I feel like if I were exposed, and it's not making excuses, but I'm just making a point. I feel like had I been exposed to, more jazz fusion and, all that kind of stuff, or even, I'll put it like this. Some of you guys don't listen to jazz. Some of you just grew up in the church. More of the Pentecostal environment musicians, or like the Kojic musicians, if you're watching this, you can attest to this. Most of those musicians could play a little bit more skillfully than everybody else, because they were always, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, because I didn't grow up, that way. So from the outside looking in, I had a lot of friends that grew up that way in those type of churches, and they were like Pentecostal. They were always playing fast music, like the shout music was super fast. Like they were playing super fast music. So it was a no-brainer for them to be able to play fast runs and fast licks because of the culture they were exposed to. They were always playing fast music. So if it comes to like playing something that's super fast, that was no big deal for them, because that was part of the natural culture. As opposed to me, I grew up in a Baptist church. Our stuff was always or at best, and that's upbeat. That was it. That's all you got. So you didn't really get a lot of fast music to really learn how to stretch out on. Everything was always meat and potatoes, musicians. It's like you didn't get a whole bunch of fancy stuff. Even in what I've observed from like a lot of the Kojic musicians and that I've noticed, the way they grew up. They grew up being exposed to way more music, and some of the artists that came out of the Kojic church. Not to get into a whole bunch of denominational stuff. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just making a point. Hopefully, you guys get that. I say that in relation to churches for people who understand church. Now, if you grew up playing metal or death metal or rock or all this kind of stuff, you know a lot of that music was fast. And so the same scenario, if that's what you grew up listening to, you were able to play a lot more fast stuff. If you grew up listening to straight ahead jazz and you were in learning Charlie Parker solos and all that kind of stuff, and that's all your family listened to, so you have this information that's there. So all of this stuff is pouring into your genius. And this is what you're pulling from when you're trying to access it and you're trying to access that language and access that ability. You're pulling from what's in there. Now, if you have nothing in there because you haven't been exposed to anything, that means you have to put a little bit more in the tank to pull something out. It's almost impossible to pull out something that's not there. It's kind of like your relationship. If you guys are believers, if you never read, if you never study, if you never seek to understand, it's hard at times for the Holy Spirit to remind you of certain things because there's nothing there to pull from. It all matters what you put into the system that determines what you're going to be able to pull out of it. If you're not putting genius stuff in, it's going to be really hard to get genius stuff out to answer the question. I know I took y'all way around 285 trying to get to the answer to the question, but that's the point. It matters what you put inside your system that determines what you're going to be able to tap into and pull out of that so-called genius level that you're trying to access. And if you're not putting the right stuff in, it's hard to get it out. So you're trying to play, I get questions all the time about improvisation. How do I do the runs? And how do I do the licks? And how do I do this? And how do I do that? And most of the people that ask me this question, they don't really listen to, solos by anybody, or even listen with the intent of trying to learn, just even by hearing, I can go back and forth. The saying, faith comes by hearing. All the music and stuff that you're trying to learn, it comes by hearing. Being able to play certain things, it comes by hearing it over and over and over. The only way you can get it in there, you have to listen to it. Unless you're gifted and you're one of those people that you pray a prayer and all of a sudden God taps you on your head and you can do it all. I'm not trying to make fun because that's happened to some people that, they got touched and they could do it. It was just a natural thing for them. There was people I've heard of who had prayed a prayer they couldn't read and they were touched, and the only thing they could read is the Bible. They can't read anything else, but they can read the Bible and understand it. So there are giftings that come because you pray because of that situation. Now, that's 1 in a million. I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to put that out there so you don't go home trying to pray that you can get this overnight. The biggest thing is going to come through work and hearing over and over and over again, taking in what it is you're trying to learn. So let's do a few things. I'm going to challenge you guys for 2021. Get you something to start writing this stuff down. I don't know if you're using a notepad, if you want to use a pencil, if you're somewhere where you can write, whatever you got to do. But some things we want to do moving forward for 2021, we want to identify where it is we're trying to go. If it's playing, where it is you're trying to go when you're playing. Don't just say, I want to be better. That's great. That's awesome. But what's the target? Because it's a target, but it's pretty broad. Let's try to narrow it down, because when we're aiming at a bullseye, better is way on the outside. But when we start targeting what exactly we want to hit, that's a bullseye. All right, so what do I want to be better in? So now we're getting a little closer in. You see what I'm saying? So now we're getting a little closer in. So I want to be, as a bass player, I want to be better at improvisation. All right. So now we have a target. We have a bullseye that we're aiming for. So what do I do to get better at improvisation so that I can start unlocking that genius that's on the inside of me? First of all, as I said earlier, you have to be aware of what you're taking in. What type of improvisation are you wanting to do? Some of you guys, when I say improvisation, your brain goes immediately to jazz, and that's not all there is to improvisation. You can improvise in almost any type of music. I've heard some of the best improvising in country music. Like some of those guitar players, what we call chicken picking, that's not jazz, that's country. But it sounds great to me. I like it. Gospel music, I've heard some of the best improvising in gospel music. It's hints of jazz in there, but that's gospel music and that's improvisation. So the question is, what exactly are you trying to become better at when it comes to improv? Because what happens for some of you guys, you get on this journey, you're trying to figure out, how do I grow? How do I get better? So you go down this rabbit hole of listening to a whole bunch of jazz musicians and learning how the jazz musicians improvise, which is good. They give you a good understanding of the chords and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is the type of music that you play, you'll never play any of that stuff. The stuff that you're learning, it probably won't be incorporated in the type of music that you have a desire to play. So if your desire of playing a certain music doesn't incorporate that jazz kind of stuff, you're either going to have to do one or two things. You're either going to have to learn jazz music so you can play that kind of stuff in jazz, or you're going to almost have to create your own lane altogether so you can create your own, your own, what we call it, your own genre of music, your own subgenre of music that you can play country music and play jazz licks. There probably is a genre out there that exists already. You either have to find that genre or you have to create your own. So those are the options that you have when it comes to that. Other than that, you have to find the people who are doing what you're trying to do. So if you are a, contemporary Christian musician and you're looking to add a little bit more spice and stuff to your bass lines, you're not necessarily looking to improvise so you can take a solo, but you want to be able to kind of get through the bass lines sweet. You want to know, okay, what's some stuff I can do to make my bass lines a little bit more, solid and have a little bit more movement to it. All right, so now you got to go to the people who play, that type of music and who are doing a little bit more improvisation in the music. So I would say, person like Planet Shakers or something like that, they're going to give you a little bit more busyness in their music, but it's not going to be too busy. It's not going to be too far left. Whereas somebody like Israel Houghton, who's a crossover between CCM and gospel, the music is a little bit more involved. It's a little bit more advanced. So you go back. I'm not talking about Justin just yet, Justin Reigns. But if you go back and listen to stuff like what Terrence Palmer was doing in that music in the early stages of its development, that gives you a great foundation to build from in terms of, okay, how did he improvise over a song like Rejoice in the Lord Always? Or what's another song that Israel, Lord, you are good. What's some stuff that they're doing over that song? All right, so now transcribing that stuff, I'm taking that and I'm putting that inside of my tank so I can pull from it later when it comes to a different situation. And these are just basic levels. Now, the things that I'm telling you from what you're writing down, these are just the basic levels. You can take that concept and apply it over all genres. Basic levels, just getting this stuff in the tank. So now, when you start creating or start trying to access that part of the music, now you start to take risks. You develop a habit of taking risks with what it is you're playing. I was talking about Jacob Collier earlier when I said he had this concept that he takes when it comes to creating music, that he tries to do the opposite of what he would normally do. And a great example that he used when he made this, and I think I talked about this last week, but it's okay. I know somebody here that didn't hear it last week, so you're hearing it again. So he talked about, he used, for example, the Beatles song, take a good song and make it better. What's the, Hey Jude, there we go. The Hey Jude song, there's a line in the song, we'll take a good song and make it better. Don't quote me, but yeah, something along that lines. So on that particular word better, he said, let's figure out, instead of making it better, let's do the opposite of what's suggested here. So you think when somebody say better, if you're paying attention to the lyrics, all right, we want to do something that sounds really warm, something that's really happy, major feeling, that kind of thing, because that particular part of the song, it's major, right? So the whole song is major. So in that particular phrase, instead of making it better, he tried to find elements that he could do to make it worse, like singing in a really, really low tone and adding a big gong sound in there and finding all these weird things that you would naturally think that doesn't go right there. But he added those, and he said, in so doing that, you now begin to find other creative ways, other creative expressions that actually translate to the ear being better. Like it for some kind of reason, it has the opposite effect on the ear when you hear it, when it's done right. But you get to that point by practicing that over and over. And I've been finding myself over the years in my music, as I've gotten back, I talked about this earlier, but as I've gotten back to my original way that I was creating music, because a part of the story I did share is I was doing this at an early age, but somewhere along the way, I started to second guess myself when I heard other people, and I heard other people's music when I moved down to Atlanta, and I started hearing how the professionals were doing it. I started second guessing my own creativity and thinking that I was doing something wrong. And if I wanted to have a placement, because, you know, being a young musician, just getting out of college, I'm trying to get my career started, I'm thinking I'm having to follow status quo. You know, I'm having to do what they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you want placements, this is what it's going to take to get a placement. And if that's what you're trying to do, by all means, go for it. But you have to be careful that you don't kill your creativity trying to fit in with the status quo. Because your thumbprint, once you start trying to alter your thumbprint, what happens? We can't recognize who you are. So once you start altering that thumbprint to try to make it look like everybody else's thumbprint, you have lost your identity. So we don't recognize who you are. So I'm telling you, and I see the comments, I'm coming back to them, but I'm just telling you guys, you have to make sure, and I'm saying this as I've done with myself over the years, as I lost track of my own creativity, trying to make sure I was trying to please everybody with the music that I was creating, as opposed to making sure that I felt completely good about the stuff that I'm creating. So the stuff that I got coming now is even more, it's even more me digging into my own head, me digging into my own genius that's on the inside of me. And I don't say this in a prideful way in terms of when I use the term genius. It's just, I know that I've been given something special, and so have you. But it's up to us to dig into that part of who we are and find what that is. Ask the Holy Spirit to reveal it. If you're a believer, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal it to you. Not a believer, it's a good time to become a believer. So you can start accessing that stuff. And I'm not saying that once you become a believer, all these things are going to change and the whole world's going to open up to you. No, I'm not saying that. It's still going to take work. But now you have help to bring these things back to your remembrance, these things that you've placed on the inside of your heart, so that you can access this stuff. And for me, I said this morning in a prayer, rather. The objective for me, and this is the other thing, being very intentional about your objective. What's your main objective and what you're trying to do? Is it so you can get the glory for it? Or is it so that you can give excellence back to the one who gave you the gifting? So that's what, especially you church musicians, you have to be really, really careful about that pursuit of genius. Is it so that everybody can celebrate how great you are? Or is it so that you can just be excellent for the sake of being excellent and give it back to the one that gave it to you? It's just something that, you know, my prayer, I'm like, I don't want to become so good. And I'm being transparent because we're in a social media age, and we all like likes. I don't care how antisocial you are. If you got on social media and you start posting pictures, you like likes. We all like to be liked. We all like to be admired in some form of a fashion. And you know, different people can take it to different extremes. I'm not saying we are worshiping that, but if you're in this social age, that's just the nature of this age that we live in. We all want that validation from our peers or other people, especially in music as musicians. Those people who are listening to us, you want that validation that they actually like what you're putting out. But I challenge you to stop worrying about that, to stop worrying about the likes, stop worrying about the comments, stop worrying about how many people share. If you're on social media, if you're trying to create content, if you're trying to do something also, stop worrying about what people have to say. And this is a day, because I am a content creator and I've been on social media for years, so it's hard. I'll be honest with you, it's hard because part of what you do as a content creator is making people happy with the content you create. So part of that, you have to, in a sense, concern yourself with what people think to make sure that you're putting out the right stuff. But I challenge you, finding the balance in that, and I call it balance, but stop worrying about what people think. Because once you start becoming 100% authentic to who you are, then the right people will be attracted to you for the right reasons. And now you're not the monkey with the cymbals, just doing stuff for entertainment, hoping that everybody likes it. But you start being 100% authentic to who you are. And I create this, think about the people that you admire the most, whether they be musicians or whatever. You admire most of these people because you feel an authenticity about who they are and what they present to you, and that's some stuff, that you're attracted to. Is like, I like it. Even if the person is a scoundrel or they're just rotten, it's like you like that person for being authentic about who they are. It's like, I'm not a fan of this person's morals, but I can respect that person because at least they're honest about who they are. You ever said that about anybody? So it's like you're looking at, I'm not going to call it, I'm not going to get political right now, but you're looking at certain people in certain ways that people do things, and it's like, man, that's messed up. But at least you know what you're going to get. And people follow things that they know what to expect from. Now, when you are all over the place and you're always trying to impress and trying to prove something to somebody, it's going to be hard for people to consistently follow you because they don't know what to expect from you. And I don't mean that in a good sense, like, man, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what he's going to do. I'm excited. I don't mean that way. I mean, like, you're a chameleon. We don't know who we're going to get from one day to the next. So it's hard to build trust with a person that you don't know who they're going to be from one day to the next. You got Dr. Jekyll today and you got Mr. Hyde tomorrow. Most people don't want that roller coaster ride. Real life is like that already. You don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. So people go to things that are predictable. We go on social media and we watch myself. I watch people and I regularly keep up with people that make me laugh, like comedians and stuff like that. I like to see that kind of stuff because if I go to their page, I know chances are they're going to make me laugh. But once they start switching it up and they start doing other things, you see a lot of comedians and a lot of people getting into and I'm not trying to say you can't do anything else other than what you do in terms of making people laugh, but a lot of times you see a lot of folks, get into these social media wars because they're trying to express a different part of themselves. Whereas if you're 100% authentic, I'll take a person like a Dave Chappelle. When you're authentic about who you are, you're going to talk about what you talk about, and people are going to listen to you, whether they like you or whether they don't like you, because at least all the time this person says and does the same thing. So I'm not shocked when I get what I get from this person because it's authentic. So that's the other part to me of tapping into that genius level of creativity that you have on the inside of you. Being 100% authentic, not saying no to certain ideas that come to you naturally. You have ideas that come to you naturally, and sometimes you're like, I don't know if I should do that. When you do that, you're choking that creativity. When you choke that creativity, it's hard to get those ideas out. So now you got to wait around for that inspiration to come again. I got people that I talk to, friends that I'm close to. They're like, man, I'm going through this thing right now, and I just ain't got it. I got several people I've talked to over the past year, over the past few months, over the past week that are dealing with that. And I've even dealt with it. I'm not trying to put nobody out, but I've dealt with it. And I noticed the root of it is because I'm always choking out my creativity. When those ideas come, I don't run with the ideas. So good ideas, there's a saying, I can't remember it verbatim, but to paraphrase, good ideas are not going to be wasted on people who don't use them. Just remember, if you want to write that down, Good ideas will not be wasted on people who don't use them. So if you're a person, you get good ideas all the time and you never do anything with them, after a while, they're not going to keep coming to you. They're going to go to somebody who's going to actually do something, somebody who's going to execute those ideas. And you're going to be that person, man. I used to think of all kinds of stuff when I was your age, man. I used to drink. You're going to be, I used to do. I'm just saying, or do that. You're going to be the, I used to could. I mean, I should have, I was almost, everybody knows it almost doesn't count. You know what I'm saying? So you want to go ahead and access whatever those ideas are, act upon them while that feeling is fresh in your mind. Go ahead and act upon that idea. If you get an idea to play something, go for it. Because the only way you're going to learn if it works or if it doesn't work, you got to go for it. But a lot of you guys get in these situations and you're scared. You won't try anything because you don't want to mess up. Well, you're going to stay safe and you're never going to grow out of that area. But if you get in a habit of trying stuff over and over again, yeah, some of the times you're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face with some of the things that you choose to play. And it's going to be a mistake. But in those mistakes, you learn what works and what doesn't work. I have a couple of students of mine, one in particular, he might be watching this. I mentioned his name, Anthony. Anthony does this stuff sometimes in our lessons, and he plays certain things. I'll have him play on like certain grooves or something like that. And he'll play something every now and again, and he'll land a lick. Sometimes he won't land it, but I'm listening to what he's doing, and over time, as I've been noticing his playing, now he's hearing where he's making a mistake, and then I hear him go back and do it again, and he'll correct it. And I don't even have to say anything. Now I'm just sitting there listening like, that's what happens. Over time, you try these things, and your ears adjust. You might not think it, but your ears are constantly adjusting. The more you're practicing, the more you're trying to grow in this music, your ears are constantly adjusting. But some of you guys are very aware of the fact that your ears are adjusting, and because of that, you don't try certain things because in your mind, I know I can't do that. I know I ain't gonna be able to land this. So you don't even try it. So you don't give yourself the opportunity to grow that genius. That genius right now for most of us is like this small. Whereas a person like a Jacob Collier, I keep using him. There's other people, Hamilton Harden. There's a lot of other people out there, Victor Wooten. The list goes on and on. The geniuses that have came through music in our generation and the generation before us, there's a lot of them. So I don't want to just keep saying one person and everybody's like, all right, dude, we get it. But the reason why these people, we call them Stevie Wonder, we call these people geniuses simply because they regularly access a level of creativity intentionally that most of us won't because we're too scared. All right, I'm done. Thank y'all. All right, appreciate you watching today. I'm out. I can literally leave on that statement. They're accessing a level of creativity that most of us won't. So in order to get to that place you're trying to get to, you have to regularly access that level. So let me read through a few of these comments before I shut this thing down. All right. Let me go all the way back. He says, Germany, Sergi, if you're still here, good morning to you. Thank you for watching. Know your sound. Steven says, Journey is one of his favorite albums. Man, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hello, Jermaine. The olive tree wood. Okay, I don't know what you mean with that. Oh, you talking about the body of the bass? You said the olive tree wood on that body. No, this is, I think this is spalted flame maple. Flame spalted maple is the body. And I think the body is alder, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's a flame spalted maple top with an alder body. And then the neck is a bird's eye maple neck. It's a 3-piece maple neck, has purple heart through the middle. The fretboard is bird's eye maple. I mean, the back of it is maple, I'm sorry. The fretboard is bird's eye maple with ebony inlays on the, if you're still here. That's the makeup, the wood makeup of this bass. All right, so go back here. All right, Tiffany said, I can relate to the experience. It's frustrating. You're talking about something that I said probably like 20 minutes ago, so I know what you mean, but I don't remember exactly what I said that you commented to. Zacchaeus said, preach, bro, more. Andre says, I grew up in a holiness church, so I know how it is. By the way, I started bringing my bass with me. My church. There you go, Andre. I'm sorry. Absolutely. Can we like the video? I appreciate that, man. Thank y'all for the likes. For the few of y'all that's liked the video to help this. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that, Stephen. This is very helpful, Jermaine. Thank you, Venetia Williams. Did I say that right? Hopefully I did. Bass lessons at school focus on jazz, which I do enjoy, but I follow you on YouTube and expand and learn what I really enjoy. It fits my style. Got you. Some church musicians looking for praise from other people. Yeah, you see that a lot in church musicians, and there are different reasons for that. There's different reasons, and I don't try to bash anybody that does that, because one of the things, the older I get, one of the things I'm learning, there's a reason behind everything. Sometimes the problems that we have in life is because we're dealing with stuff on the surface level, and we judge people and things based on the surface level. And don't get me wrong, I get really irritated. If you follow me on Facebook, I said something about, can we kill the arrogance amongst musicians this year? Because you do see that a lot with musicians, but that comes, again, it's rooted in other things. Like, people have this sense of entitlement. It might have everything to do with how a person was raised. I mean, it's so many different things that we are exposed to. Goes back to your culture. If your culture breeded that arrogance in terms of you wasn't anybody unless you come in with this type of attitude, and you came in looking like you knew your stuff, and you talked a certain way to fit into certain groups, there are a lot of different makeups, and culturally it affects everything. How the culture is from where you are. What's the temperature from where you come from? I noticed that people from a certain state acted a certain way in the music world, as opposed to people from this place or that place. And I was like, man, this is interesting. Until I met people from that place, and I was like, oh, it's a culture thing. That doesn't make it right, but you have to be sure to check that culture to make sure that your culture is not having a negative effect on who you are or what you're trying to show or what you're trying to give off, because the vibes you give off, some things that we bring with us are not helpful or healthy to us. Culturally, there are a lot of things I grew up around, and there's a thinking mentality. Not saying everybody from where I'm from is wrong, but there are some things that I don't want to bring with me moving forward. I don't want to pass down to my kids certain things that were given to me culturally from where I'm from. There's some things I definitely am not going to. I'm going to make sure that my kids don't get that. Oh, definitely not. Culturally, that's what we're used to. That's the norm. That's the status quo. But I won't pass that down. I won't give that off, because that's not what I want to pass along. But it comes with self-awareness, kind of being aware, and going back to the whole thing with the musicians, some of them are aware that they're arrogant, or some people just call it confidence. And you got to be sure you running a thin line. There's nothing wrong with being confident. And the other thing, the flip side of it, because we really don't talk about this side, I suffered from this, the whole humble thing. You're thinking you're being humble and you're actually being timid, and we're calling it humility. There's a difference. You're actually being timid and you're calling it humility. Humility don't mean you don't have any confidence. Humility is like you just aware that it's not you. You're just aware it's not you. You don't boast in the fact that you're good at what you do. You just know that it's not all about you. I can be good and I can have a confident performance and still walk away humble. Not like, man, you killed. I know. What do you think I was gonna do? I mean, I practiced all week. I've been learning these songs for a month. I mean, you know what kind of money they paying me for this show? You thought I wasn't gonna come in here and kill? Like, having that attitude. That ain't humility. And that ain't confident. That's arrogant. Like, confident is like, thank you, man. Yeah, I do work. I work hard. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not letting it all go your head, like, or even, let's go even extreme arrogant. You walk in. Nobody even knows who you are. You walk in like with this, not speaking to nobody. Some of y'all, I know musicians that have done this personally. They get on their phones. Let me get my old phone up. Everybody else is in conversation, and they're like, you're sitting literally right beside people that are trying to talk to you, and you acting like you're too busy because you got something that's more important on your phone. You're distracted. Not saying being on your phone is wrong, but there are times that some people, and I know musicians who intentionally act like they need to be distracted by something else just so they won't have to talk and interact with other people because they feel like these people are beneath them and they don't want to talk to them. So I'm going to find a distraction so I don't have to talk. That's arrogant. That's arrogant. Calling a spade a spade. So yeah, moving on. just so we're clear. And so don't continue to mistake being timid for being humble. And don't mistake being confident or being arrogant for being confident, because they're two completely different things. All right? Let's go back. Miss Tanya says, do you recommend taking lessons on a 4 or 5 string? Last year I put my 5 string down and I only used my 4 string. I had my 5 set up fresh strings and see a big difference now how I play. I would say starting on either 4 or 5, the advantage of starting on the 4 string, let me say it, and I don't want to say the advantage because that could. If you have the option, I would say get both. If you have an option, but if you don't have the option, and whatever you got, that's what you got to start with, because some people, the only thing they had was a 5 string when they started. Like me, I think I started playing on, I can't remember if it was a 4 or 5 string. It might have been a 4, and then when a 5 came along, I started, figuring out the 5. I would say whatever you have, start with what you have. Learn your way through it, but at some point, do pick up a 4-string bass. That's the better way for me to say this and to answer this, because that's a big debate that goes all the way across the board. But at some point, if you start on a 5, you're fine. You don't have to go buy a 4 right away. If you start on a 4, you don't have to go and buy a 5 right away. But I would say at some point you do want to go and learn how to navigate around a 4-string bass. You do want to be able to do that, because figuring out how to navigate and how to create some other ways of playing certain things that you naturally get with the 5-string, because each level when you get the 5-string, it's made to make the job a little easier, or made to add a little bit more, so to speak. Or with the 6-string, I would say it's made to make the job a little easier, because when you have that extra C string down there, like when you guys saw me earlier and I was playing all this stuff up here, if I had my 6-string bass, I would have been all up here. I could have played that right here, and then I could have just went down here when I wanted to, or just did more chords. Each one has its own reason, but in terms of should I learn to play this one first or should I learn to play that one first, I would say either one you should be fine in terms of 4 or 5 string. If that's what you have to learn on, go with it. But at some point, do try and pick up a 4 string, because you still want to be, as being a complete bassist, so to speak, you want to be able to have a 4 string or be able to pick up a 4 string and still know your way around on it and be comfortable with the 4. Vice versa with the 5. You might walk into some situations, because some people swear about 4 string, but I've been in some musical situations where they ask for that low B string. So for the people who are swearing by the 4 string, you shouldn't have a 5. Jocko only needed 4. Okay, that's great for Jocko. But in particular music that I'm playing, they want that low B or even a low B flat. So I better figure out for this job how to do it. So it really matters what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. I hate trying to set a certain standard of rules. You got to do this, you got to do that, because it's different for everybody. And many people have been very, very successful without never picking up a 4 string. or ever picking up a 5 string, or ever touching a 6 string. Or there have been people who only play 6 string and have been really, really successful. So I hate to, generalize and say, well, you need to do this. Me personally, I hate doing that. So when I am teaching lessons, that's why I'm saying if you have a 4 or a 5, if you have a 5 string, the 4 is naturally included in the 5. I'm just saying, just FYI. If you have a 5 string, the 4 string is included. It's in there. So, if you start with a 5, you're going to have a 4. Just, I don't know how else to say that for the people who are concerned about that. And it's not that big of a deal to add that extra string, even to add the extra 6 string. Mentally, it's going to take you a minute to get used to it. But once you figure out, oh, this is just so you can add as many as you want. I personally don't want to go past the 6. That's my personal preference. But do you have to start on a 4? No. Do you have to start on a 5? No. It's totally up to you. But at some point, you want to at least explore the others so that you do have that in your back pocket if it ever comes up. And a gig only requires you to play a 4 string, or it requires you to play a 4 string only. You're confident enough and competent enough to navigate around that 4 string without getting lost. Or if this gig requires a 5 string, you're competent enough to navigate around that 5 string without being lost. So hopefully that answer made sense. My opinion, my complete opinion. All right. So Venetia, again, I hope I'm saying it right. What's your top tip on mastering the fretboard and reaching that level of creativity? Mastering it, you want to kind of be aware of where everything is. And to me, doing that is a good way. One is, I don't want to say there's one set way of doing it. I know you said, what's my top tip? But there's so many ways you can go at it. But the biggest thing is kind of learning your notes and your octaves. I do it a lot with the numbers. Learning songs in more than one key. If I have a song and it's got a lot of busy stuff going on, trying to figure out how to do that in multiple keys all around the fretboard. Again, learning your note names. The biggest thing, you don't want to be guessing. If I could say my top tip, don't be guessing when it comes to what it is you're trying to play. Knowing where stuff is, like being able to know where all of these notes are, so when you want to go to that place of creativity, I guess to shave all the long drawn out answer around, know where everything is at in terms of learn your notes, learn where the notes are. Even if you can't name them all right away, at least be able to know what they sound like and where they are. Well, I know that sound is right here. If you're going to learn the sound, go ahead and learn what the name of it is. It's an F. All right, that's my F. That's my F. That's my F. That's my F. So all these Fs. Being able to know where all these Fs and the rest of the corresponding notes are on the fretboard. So now when I want to go and do a riff, I know I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck in one position when I want to do a riff or that kind of thing. So once I start advancing and looking for all these other stuff, I know where it's at. Another thing I would say, if you've been around more than a day, you already know I'm huge on the major and the minor pentatonic because they show up all over popular music, gospel music, almost any genre of music you can name. You're going to hear the major and the minor pentatonic in that music. So being very, very familiar with the major and the minor pentatonic, what it sounds like, so that you can use that anywhere and find variations of it and that kind of thing. Many people sleep on those particular scales because for some people it's overrated. And for other people, they think, well, for all the stuff they're playing, I need to know a little bit more than that. When actually, if you can figure out that scale in its entirety, like really digging in to all the different nuances of those scales rather, the major and minor pentatonic, which essentially are the same scale, they're just depending on where you're starting from, in my opinion. if you can kind of figure that out, it really opens up a lot of ideas to you that you can play around with. Like just being able to kind of know your way around those scales, it helps you to kind of get some different ideas out. So there's a ton of other things we can add to them, but the top tip is you got to know this instrument in terms of knowing your way around, because everything is going to be a guess if you don't have a clue what string this is. I don't know what that string is. I don't know what that string is. I don't know what that string is. Now, disclaimer. I'm from the South, Mississippi. There are a lot of people who didn't grow up, and I want to dispel a myth that you have to know all this theory before you can be good at the instrument. That's not true. And I'll debate on that. You don't have to know all this theory before you can be good on this instrument. I know plenty of people that I've grown up around who don't know none of the notes on the fretboard. Now let me correct that. They don't know all of their notes. They know a few. They know the main, like, okay, that's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and so on. But all those flats and sharps, they're not sure about those notes. But you put them on a song and they'll wear you out. Period. Point blank. The problem is, put in a different situation outside of their normal thing. In their thing, they kill it. Like some of these people grew up in, like, apostolic churches and that kind of thing, or some people just grew up in church in general, playing in church only. Some people grew up playing blues or playing, whatever gig, and they know how to do what they do in their lane. Now, the problem is, if you take them out of their lane, they can't do it anymore. And they can't explain to you what it is that they do. That's the downside of not knowing the theory. You can't explain to people what it is you do. So instead of teaching people notes, you're just kind of regurgitating the same thing that you learned. What this is this, and this is this, this is this. I don't know what it's called, but this is this. So you're teaching people how to play. They just have no clue what they're doing. That's the downside. So being able to identify what it is you're playing and what the notes are, not only, learning this stuff, you're able to, better understand where you're going, why you're going, where you're going, and you can show somebody else what it is you're doing and why it is you're doing what it is. And that's, to me, that's the whole thing about theory, being able to explain the whys and all that kind of stuff. But I don't preach theory because I didn't learn by learning theory first. But it is important. But it's not necessarily required for you to be a good musician. To be a great musician, yeah, you probably, need to learn some more stuff. There are plenty of people who came and gone who were phenomenal at what they do, and they didn't know the theory. So, sorry to sidetrack on that, but sometimes I have to make that disclaimer because there's an argument that goes back and forth from time to time about people being able to read and not being a good musician because they can't read. I'm like, no, I'm not going to co-sign that with you, because I can take you into some musical situations and you can bring your top reader in there. And this situation ain't calling for no reading. And I guarantee you the guy who can't read is going to wear out that guy who can read every single time. In this particular situation. Now, he might get him in another situation that requires him to pick up some music. But for this, and that's why I talked about earlier, and it's still on point, I talked about earlier, when you're trying to determine what you want to be better at, have that goal, because better is broad. He might be a better musician at one area, but in terms of if he wants to be a better overall musician, these are some of the things you're going to have to put in play. You have to be able to read. You have to be able to do this. You have to be like all these things. If you want to be the better overall in any genre, yeah, well, being a superb reader definitely going to put you in a class by yourself, because everybody can't do that. Everybody can't, just pick up a sheet of music and no matter what it is, they're going to be sweet. So that's the advantages of being able to read and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even know how I got on that, but just making some disclaimers for some people, just in case you need some clearing it up. All right, be clear about what you're trying to do. All right. I can't wait to finish school so I can sign up and take lessons with you. I know there's much I will learn. I'm looking forward to it, Tony. Thank you. Hey, my brother, do you use Logic Pro 10 switching over from GarageBand? And boy, it's hard. Yep, I use Logic. It's cool, man. It's the big, basically the big brother of GarageBand, and it's a slight learning curve, but it's pretty similar for the most part. So yeah, I've been using Logic for some years now. Funny thing is, I went to a session that I done like years ago when I first switched over to Logic from Pro Tools, and seeing how I did that session, I was like, oh boy, I was struggling. The struggle was real, but we got through it. We created some good music, but the struggle was real because you can see that session was nowhere as clean as my sessions are now. So yeah, the learning curve is always hard, but yeah, I do use Logic, and you get it. You just stay with it. YouTube is your friend. The tutorials, I still do the tutorials, and I've been on Logic for over 10 years. I still go to tutorials to this day. So the tutorials are your friend on YouTube. All right, so for real, okay, she's talking Music for Jesus. All right, so hey Jermaine, can you provide your email address? Great start to Grooves of Motivation in 2021. Andrew, it's Jermaine at jermainemorgan.net. Send me an email there. Super easy. Jermaine at jermainemorgan.net. All right. That low B causes me to make a bass face. LOL. Now I enjoy the difference in the ranges of the sounds, and I can produce on 4 or 5 string. Thanks for the response. No problem. Who the Lord loveth, he chasing. I'll take my hits out, but I'm also motivated to stay on course, to keep focused, and to continue to work on my skill sets. Thank you, sir. Andrew. Man, I'm not talking worth anything right now. Thank you for that. Thank you, and God bless you. And yes, it's Venetia. All right, good. I know I'm saying it right. All right, thank you. All right, so Benjamin, he said, first time hearing this dope, bro. Love you from Canada. Thank you for watching, man. That's so cool that you guys are all around the world. I think technology in that regard is so cool that we all can connect from everywhere around the world. Listen, if this is your first time here, I'm here every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I enjoy being here. I enjoy talking to you all. Listen, y'all, we are fastly approaching almost 40,000 subscribers. I'm bumping my numbers up right now. I think I'm at like 36.8 or 36.9, somewhere in there, 36,900. But we're shooting for 40. So if y'all can help me get to 40,000, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to try to do something special. I haven't really done anything in a while, but I would like to try to do something. Who knows? It might be a giveaway. It might be something. But I want y'all to help me get to 40,000 subscribers. That comes from you liking, sharing the videos, telling somebody to follow this channel, that kind of thing. I really, really appreciate everybody that's here. There's more content. I got plans to do some really, really great things this year. More performance videos for sure are coming in 2021. I did a few performance videos last year, and people seem to really like these performance videos. So I got more performance videos that are coming in 2021. Grooves of Motivation is going to get better. It's going to get better. We're just working through a few things right now. I got a lot of things that I'm mentally working through, and logistically I'm trying to figure some things out, but it's going to get better. So keep rocking with me, keep rolling with me. Yeah, I don't want to give too much information because it's not all finalized yet. So I'll let you know when the time is right. And if I didn't mention this last week, I created some, if you guys are part of my email list, you already know what I'm about to say, but I created some backing tracks, some packs, some gospel. Many of you follow me for my backing tracks here on YouTube, but I also have more. I created some gospel backing tracks, some gospel quartet backing tracks, and it's contemporary gospel backing packs. And there's some fun stuff. Some of the stuff, some of you guys have played some of these tracks before, but I went back and extended them. I produced them out, added some more elements, added live drums, a real drummer to the stuff, so it feels really, really live. It's fun to play. It's some new stuff that y'all haven't played before. I'm really excited about you getting to play on some of this stuff. as well. And yeah, it's just really short loops. The idea behind the backing tracks that I've created is to give you that feel of playing in that live environment. And it's just like maybe 2 sections to the song, and it just loops so you can really, really develop your idea. Here's what you get with the packs themselves. You get 2 MP3s with each song. There's 6 songs per pack. There are 2 packs. You got the gospel quartet, there's 6 songs in there, and the contemporary gospel, a separate pack, 6 songs in there. You get 6 songs. Now you get the song with the track by itself, and then the other thing, you get the song with my bass take, so you can hear what I played. Now the tab and sheet music for these tracks with my bass take also is included, so you can basically kind of follow what I did. If you read music, if you follow tab, you can use that from my bass take. And also, I created, if that's not enough for you guys out there, I created instructionals to explain to you and show you exactly what I'm playing, how I'm doing it, that whole thing. They're not super long. The videos are not super long. But I'm breaking down exactly what I'm doing in the backing track so that you can better get an idea of how to play gospel, traditional gospel quartet, and contemporary gospel music. So I think you guys really enjoy. If you've been enjoying my backing tracks already on YouTube, you're really going to like these packs. That's available on my website, JermaineMorgan.net. Just simply go to the tab. You can go to the shop tab and find that if you want to, or you can go to my courses tab and it says bass jam packs, and that'll take you right to everything you're trying to get to. So that's the easy way to get to it. Go to my website. If I remember, I'll try to drop the link in the bottom of this video. So if you're watching this in the replay, it's probably already there. So you can go and check it out. You can grab those jam packs. It's for you to grow, for you guys to continue to develop in your sound. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of these in 2021. So it's a lot of new stuff on the horizon. I'm super excited. I'm super excited to share. And yeah, we got a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. So y'all hang with me, hang tight with me in these videos. Help me grow this channel so we can get this information out to even more people. I want to help more people to unlock their sound, add more value to even more people, help more people discover that creative genius that's on the inside. So if you found this video helpful to somebody, do me a favor, help your boy out. Share it with somebody. Share it on your Facebook platforms. And if you share it on Facebook, tag me. I have 2 Facebook pages. One is an artist page, one is my personal page. If you share this on Facebook, tag me in Facebook. If you share it on Twitter, tag me on Twitter. I'm sorry, on Facebook it's Jermaine Morgan. It's that simple. So you search Jermaine Morgan on Facebook, it's probably 100 Jermaine Morgans come up, but my face is on mine. One of them I have a bass, and one of them I don't have a bass. So either one, it doesn't matter. If you tag me in it, I see it, I'll respond to it. If you share it on Twitter, tag me at JMorganBass. If you share any of my videos at any time, tag me at JMorganBass on Twitter. Most likely, if I see it, I'm going to respond to you. If you're following me on Instagram, JMorganBass at Instagram. So if you share something that you play, I get people that tag me all the time. A lot of times I share it in my stories where they are playing to one of the backing tracks and they tag me on Instagram. I most of the time will share that in my stories on Instagram. I'm there at JMorganBass, just like it sounds, JMorgan, B-A-S-S, at JMorganBass on Twitter or Instagram. But if you tag me on Instagram, I'm probably, if you're playing something or you tag me in one of my videos, I'm probably going to repost you in my story. So yeah, just some stuff to be mindful of. If you're not already following me on the other social media outlets, I don't promote those a lot, but hey, I appreciate it. Thank you again for being here. Hopefully I gave y'all some good stuff to use that you can take with you and move forward in 2021. Wherever you wrote these notes down, do me a favor. Don't just throw them in the trash. Don't forget they're on your phone. Do something about it. Start unlocking that creativity. Start tapping into your full potential. See what you can pull out. See what you can do. And so at the end of 2021, going into 2022, or looking back, you can say, man, I really put it on. Like I really gave this thing every single thing that I had, and it shows. It shows. Last but not least, because I know me, I'll forget to mention this. I wrote a book to you new people and to you old people who haven't bought my book. I ain't forcing you to buy it, but it's worth your time. I will say that it's worth your time. It's worth to read 10 Ways to Success, The Working Musician by yours truly. It's available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version. It's available. The audio version is now available as well. You can get it on iTunes or I think Amazon, that kind of thing. But you can get the audio version as well. So this is available if you want the PDF version or a signed copy. You can get that on my website. Simply go to JermaineMorgan.net, go to the shop tab. You'll see it. And I'll be happy, more than happy to sign and send you a copy. I still got to send off a book to our last winner for the book. It got crazy during Christmas time. If you're watching, I ain't forgot about you. It's been crazy. So anyway, thank y'all. Happy New Year to everybody. And I'm out, man. I enjoyed everybody today. Hopefully you got a lot. Oh, I missed some comment. Vic says, great nuggets of wisdom today. I really appreciate you. Thanks. One last question. What's your advice for people who struggle from mental health and have a hard time finding motivation to play? I'll come back to that. Let me read this last comment. I have to get into your program. It's kind of hard having the time to play running and trucking business and want to be better at playing. I got you. Josh, if you're talking about the one-on-one lessons, I work around your schedule with the one-on-one lessons. Fortunately, I'm with the one-on-one lessons, I have the flexibility, thankfully, because I'm here most of the time. So if I'm not producing or something like that, I can kind of navigate around everybody's schedule. So prayerfully, God allows me to continue to do that. So, let's pray for that. That keeps going. But the monthly membership lessons, if you start the monthly membership lessons, that's totally on your schedule. You don't have to wait for me. Those lessons are available 24/7, just like YouTube. You can go to your lessons. If you get in at 2 o'clock in the morning, or you getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you want to learn something, those lessons are available to you at your leisure. That's the point of me doing the monthly membership lessons. It allowed me the freedom to constantly create content and get a lot of content out and make it available for my members. And, not worrying about me missing them or them missing me because of conflicting schedules. And they can go back, learn as much as often as they want, looking at the lessons. Okay, I didn't get what he said. You can rewind it, as opposed to saying, can you repeat that? You get to rewind it, and there's a ton, over 180 something videos available with bass lessons, material that you can take and add to your playing. So that's available just for people like you who are busy and don't really have the time to sit down and do one-on-one lessons and that kind of thing. Matter of fact, my one-on-one lessons are very limited anyway, so there's only so many people I can take at a time. I have a few more slots open, but without maxing myself out. You know what I'm saying? I created the different membership options that allow people to meet with me once a month as opposed to every week. And that freed me up to take in more one-on-one students. So yeah, there's a few more slots available for that. All right, so let's see here. The question I was supposed to answer, how do you, if you're still here, deal with people with mental health? I would say, because I don't personally deal with that, I don't want to act like it's just a cookie cutter answer for that. But one of the things, I have a student that suffered, not necessarily from mental illness, but dealing with massive depression. And one of the things I suggested to them is the routine is very important. And again, I with my whole sympathy for what you're dealing with, if you're the one that's dealing with the the mental stuff, getting a hold of your day. Now let me say this. Y'all know what I'm about. Praying. You gotta make some time to pray, because you're dealing with something that I can give you all these things and all this kind of stuff. Jesus and having a relationship with him and spending time with him in the morning, that's how I keep from losing it. If I could be completely transparent, I get up in the mornings. This is me being completely honest. I get up in the mornings. First thing I'm doing, I'm reading my Bible. That's the first thing I'm doing. Once I get up, and I pray as soon as I get out of bed. And for the ones that want to leave, hey, I welcome you. I'm done. But this is just personal to the person that asked me that question. Um, but I get up first thing in the morning. I pray. I thank God for the ability, number one, to be in my right mind. Number two, to be able to do the things that I have to do for the day. So I open up with gratitude. Long story short, I open up with gratitude. I'm reading and studying because on this improvement journey of trying to improve myself, trying to better myself, I want to be closer to the one that created me. So I'm trying to figure out what his will is concerning me. Even before I talk to you guys, I'm aware that I got a big, vast audience of people who are going to watch these videos. And I don't want to be held accountable for something that I say that's wrong because I'm talking out of my own head as opposed to what is in my heart and what's purposed for me to say. So I'm praying that when I speak, what I say is relevant to what I'm supposed to be saying, if that makes any sense. So my routine is very structured each morning. I'm up, I read, and not only do I read, after I read my devotion, that's what I call my devotional time. You know, there's times that I try to meditate, and meditate can come in different forms for me. I consider meditating, I listen to something positive and uplifting for me. There's this channel that I listen to on YouTube I really like called Lion of Judah. And they give really good explanations and breaking down of scriptures, and it's really encouraging. I listen to that, and there's some motivational videos that I listen to as well while I'm doing my workout. So I'm taking in, for like the first hour of my morning, I'm taking in a lot of, I'm taking in a lot of really positive stuff, a lot of really positive energy, a lot of really spiritually uplifting stuff. So whatever that I'm going to face that day, because on any given day, I could get hit with something that's like, yo, what in the world? 2020 was a doozy for me. I got hit with some, I felt like I was fighting Mike Tyson at the top of the year. I'm like, yo, I'm talking about old Mike. I'm talking about 90s Mike. I felt like I was fighting him based on my mental battles that I was facing. And so I had to figure out ways to combat that. I was already doing my little morning thing and praying, and I was still getting hit. Don't get me wrong. Even with doing my little morning routine and doing my praying and all that kind of stuff, I was still getting hit across the head. And it was hard. So I had to go that much harder to keep myself uplifted. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes those days and those trials and those obstacles got the best of me. And I found myself like, yo, bro, I don't know. There's some days I was like, I wanted to quit with this stuff and just hang it all up and be like, yo, my family, I got to just take care of my family. This hard. This is hard. I'm being honest. At a professional level, I've achieved some major success as a musician at a professional level. But I was still like, yo, man, this is, all right, I'm about to, y'all can have it. Start me a wood pile and burn everything out here. So it got that hard for me personally from a mental standpoint. So even though I don't have a mental illness, so to speak, I can identify with mentally being attacked and knowing how to fight through that. I was only able to come through that through praying, through fasting with intent. Not just trying to lose weight, but fasting with intent of trying to get some clarity, trying to get some understanding. And my wife, having somebody, if you are not married, having my wife there to fight with me and to pick me up when I was in those ruts. Because even praying, sometimes in those spaces, is a lot of times we tell our kids, because they're still young, just trying to understand this whole spiritual walk thing. Like sometimes God ain't talking during the test. So you can be praying and you ain't hearing nothing. And sometimes that becomes even more depressing and even more frustrating because you're not hearing anything. And you're wanting something, you're talking, you're praying, and Holy Spirit give me something. Because even for me, for my business, there are things I'm like, I'm praying, I'm talking, I ain't getting nothing. Nothing's happening. What's going on? And having my wife to be there with me and talk to me during those times, because there was some days I had to lift her up out of a hole, and there's other days she's having to lift me up out of a hole. Having a community. My wife was the number one person for me. Outside of my spiritual relationship, my wife became that number one person for me that helped me in those times when I started talking negative. I started talking crazy talk. Like, no, Jay, don't, you better than this. Don't listen to that, because that's the enemy in your head. The enemy within. I said this old African proverb quote. If there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm. So what you're fighting is in your head. I'm pointing to your heart, and in your head, your mind, basically. It's in your head. What you're fighting is on the inside. So that mental thing is on the inside that you're fighting against. You pray against that thing, and then you put yourself, going back to that whole thing I was saying, the whole creative genius, what you put in is what you're going to get out. In those times that you're being mentally attacked, if you haven't been putting the right stuff in, you're feeding yourself with all this negativity, everybody dying with the whole, literally, with so many people dying, with what's going on in the world, and you're watching the news, you're reading the newspaper, you're taking in social media, everybody got something negative to say all the time. If that's what you're consuming yourself with, then you have no ammunition when it's time to fight. So when these things come at you, I know you're asking about the music tip, but if you don't get the mental thing together, just on a personal note, you definitely ain't got nothing musical. There's plenty of people who can play their behinds off, but they are out of here when it comes to their mind. They have no peace. I don't want to be amazing and I don't have no peace. I don't want to be able to solo all this bass and I have no peace. I'm fighting stuff when I put the bass down. Or even while I'm playing, I'm fighting stuff. No, not me. Y'all have it. I want peace. I want peace in my mind. I want peace in my heart. So the best way for me to do that, like I said, having that personal time, being really, really structured about putting the right stuff in my system, having people around me, having a community of people around me. It ain't got to be, no whole 20, 30 people. Some close people that you can just be honest with. I got a good friend of mine, several good friends, but a good close friend of mine that we kick it. We talk about some cool stuff, but every now and then, He'll hit me up, and I hit him up like, bro, I need to vent. I need to get it out. Like this, I'm going through this, and I am like, I don't know what to do, and I'm mad. This is what I really feel if I could be 100% transparent. And I'm telling this friend this, like I said, it ain't nothing that I wouldn't share with my wife, but sometimes having a male figure or whatever to be able to kind of unload with, and they get exactly where you're coming from. Like, and then you find that they're going through a similar thing. And having the right people in your corner, they will tell you the right thing in the right time. So a lot of times I've called my homie to vent and I end up encouraging him. I got several. I got like 2 or 3 of them that I consider like these are covenant brothers. People of integrity. Now I'm being really clear about that. People of integrity. People that can be trusted. People that have been proven over time. So you have covenant relationship with them. So when you talk to this person, that conversation ain't going no farther than them. But you can be honest with them and they can be honest with you. Not necessarily putting your business all out there, but if you're having a moment that you need to be completely honest, this is what I'm going through, and I need to talk to somebody about it. Sometimes you just need to talk and get that stuff off your mind, because one of the things that the enemy does in your mind is he tries to isolate you and make you feel like you're by yourself. And when you start listening to your own thoughts, you start making bad decisions based on your own thoughts. And you have to make sure that you're not thinking the wrong thing. And sometimes you have to have somebody, like my wife, for instance, that talk to you and tell you like, dude, that ain't you. That ain't the Jermaine I know. Or a friend like, nah, bro, you bigger than that. You better than that. Somebody to pull you back in the pocket because you done ran up that neck and started talking crazy. You're doing some stuff, you're saying some stuff that you shouldn't say. So sometimes having those people who will be brutally honest with you and tell you the truth about where it is you are. Not somebody that's condemning you and condescending, putting you down. No, not that. But somebody that will be honest enough to let you talk and to tell you the truth. And encourage and uplift you in that moment, not put you down, not tear you down. Because the right person is going to know the right thing to say. The covenant brother is going to know the right. The covenant sister is going to know the right thing in that moment to say, to give you stuff that adds and promotes and builds life, not tear you down and make you feel worse. Because a good friend, let me say this, a good friend doesn't agree with your mess or your negativity. A real good friend doesn't co-sign your negativity and allow you to be negative. I'll let you have a moment to vent. Let's be clear. I'll let you have a moment to vent and say what you need to say. But when you finish, now I'm going to tell you the truth about, I understand. I have empathy for what you're going through. But here's the truth, and the truth remains whether you feel like hearing it or not. This is the truth. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? So a real friend is going to give you the real stuff. If it's your spouse, if you can talk to your spouse, pray for that level of intimacy with your spouse where you can go to your spouse and you can talk to them and they give you the truth in love, not in bitterness, not eating your head off, that kind of stuff, or tearing you down, but give you the truth in love. So that's now bringing it all home. If you're dealing with the mental thing, now when I come to this, I'm not pouring all of that negativity into this. This is a deeper expression of what my mouth has to say. The issues of my heart comes through this instrument. The issues of my heart comes through this instrument. So when I get up and when I try to play, whether it be church, whether it's for you guys, on Tuesday mornings, I try to make sure that my heart is right. I try to make sure that my heart is right. Because you don't realize it, but you're sending out vibes. This energy is coming. This energy, what I'm giving you through this video, you feeling it. It's coming right through this camera phone right now. It's coming right to you, to your computer, to your phone, whatever you're watching this on. It's coming right through to you. And if it's a negative energy, you're going to feel it because it's coming out of this instrument. This instrument and this instrument, it's coming out of it. So that's why, it's important, if you guys play on certain platforms, be responsible for that platform. I've been guilty of playing mad and I'm killing, doing my thing, but it's the wrong energy coming out. And I've even, as a leader, had to go back and repent or ask for forgiveness from my band because I had the wrong energy. I'm sending out the wrong vibe because somebody didn't tick me off. I've done something. You know what I'm saying? So that whole thing, all of it, you got to be aware that this is deeper than what you think. People would like for you to believe that music is surface level, but that stuff is deeper than what you think. You have the power through this instrument. If you develop this skill, this thing, if you develop it right, you have the power to shift someone's state of being. And that can either be positive or negative. So be mindful and be aware of what you're putting into this thing, because what you practice and you do over and over, you become very good at. And if you're very good at playing when you're angry, now I'm not saying, there's a difference. Letting stress out, because I get on the drum sometimes and just go for it and just, kind of like a punching bag, letting it out. But what I'm giving out to people, I'm very careful that I don't give that stress out to people. Oh man, this person just made me mad, so I'm finna get on stage and let them have it. Nope. You finna get on stage and let everybody get that stress you got. So be mindful of what you have, what you carry. This is an assignment. Everybody is not trusted to do this. That's why it's not easy for everybody to do. So if you hear what I'm saying, this is not to be taken lightly. I'm holding this instrument up, but it could be this, it could be them drums, it can be your voice. It's not to be taken lightly, and too many people have taken it lightly. And because of that, many people have suffered. Don't you know a lot of people went and committed suicide after hearing certain songs? I'll let that simmer for a second. Many people went and committed suicide after hearing certain songs because somebody was irresponsible with their gift. You have a challenge. Not only to develop this thing, to birth that creativity, to pull that genius out, but you're also responsible for what you give out once you develop it. Because somebody is listening and their heart is open to receive what you're giving out. So make sure what you're giving out is not poison. All right. I don't went too long. Let me go back. I got stirred up. Y'all got me stirred up now. Sometimes skill and practice only go so far. We have to take our hearts. Absolute star, yo. Take our hearts and minds. Hope you all have a great year. Jay Morgan, you preaching now, bro. Peace. Thank you for talking about this. I was just struggling with my mental yesterday. Thanks for this talk, man. Honest truth. Absolutely, no problem. That's what I'm here for. That's why I get on here. Music is great therapy for me and a special connection to Jesus. Yeah, that peace surpasses all understanding. Yep. Wow, dude, this really gave me a solid answer. Thank you. I'm glad I was able to help in that area. When I DJ music, no matter how you present it, it carries you energy and it shifts people's mood. Yep. You know firsthand. Especially you DJs, you know a certain song gonna change the mode. So you know you have that kind of energy, you have that kind of control, so you have to be aware of it. All right? Yeah, absolutely. Music IC 81. You were born for greatness. I totally agree. Praise God for you. Guard your eye and guard your ear gates. You have to be really careful. I know some people might get on this channel and say, man, that dude's too deep for me. And I get it. I might not be your person. And I'm okay with that. I'm learning to be okay with that. If this is too much for some people who get on video, I might be the wrong person. You might gotta go to somebody else's channel. You all just go to the videos where I'm just teaching the bass lessons. But if you come into grooves and motivation, you're gonna get, I ain't gonna just say grooves and motivation. You coming to me, you're gonna get me. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. So I need to stop apologizing. This is who I am, and I understand that there's more to playing than just being good. I know there's a responsibility to come with this. I was given the opportunity to do this. I was supposed to be out of here at 6 years old. That's what y'all don't know. I had a lawnmower accident. For the people that don't know, I had a lawnmower accident when I was 6 years old. It almost took me clean out of here. As a matter of fact, I did flatline. And my mom has a version of the story, and I have a version of the story that we won't get into. But I know I'm called to do this, not just to play, but there's something he's put in my mouth, and I won't hold it back. I'm not, quote unquote, a preacher, but I know what I'm called to do, and I know what I'm purposed to do. And so I know that this is more serious than being able to play a few licks and showing y'all your skills and showing you how to be fast and all this kind of stuff. There's purpose behind it. And ignorance of purpose, Miles Monroe, ignorance of purpose produces an abuse of talent. I have that in one of my songs, that quote in one of my songs. Being ignorant of what your purpose is, you will abuse the gift and the talents that you've been given because you're ignorant to why you have them. I now know, over the last few years that I've been growing and developing, I now know why I was given these gifts and why I was given certain talents and certain abilities. And I refuse, regardless of anybody's opinion, to waste them. And you should do the same. So listen, guys, I'm Jermaine. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for watching. I pray that you gained something that was encouraging, inspiring, and motivating to you to want to grow, to want to do better. So, yeah, I thank y'all for being here. Let me go back. I'm going to read the last comments. I'm out. Thank you so much. Izzy, this is Izzy. I feel motivated. God bless you, man. Thank you for being here. Imran, hey, bro, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm the young boy who did a bass cover on Waiting on You on IG. So do you have any advice on balancing college and music performance at the same time? Imran, I think I remember your video. I think I vaguely remember your video. And balancing performance in college, Let me see here. My advice to that, just give each thing its proper time. If you're there to academically do something, then you got to make sure you're doing the work. You have to allot the amount of time necessary for each thing that you're supposed to be doing. My number one thing to you: don't waste time majoring in the minors. That's college talk for you. Don't waste your time majoring in minor things, hanging out, and there's nothing wrong with a social life. But once that social life begins to pull you from your purpose, and you're there for a purpose, you might not be fully clear what that is, but it ain't to wild out socially. Once your social life starts pulling you off track of your purpose, then it's time to cut that loose. Now, it's okay to have a social life, but you make sure that that social life doesn't control you. Make sure that those people that you're connecting with, good to build good relationships. Some of my strongest relationships now are people that I met in college. But make sure that those people that you're building relationships with don't pull you away from who you are. So my advice to you is don't get lost majoring in minor things. That's my advice to you. All right? Let the sizzle, let that sizzle in your soul. Absolutely. All right, y'all. I gotta go. Thank y'all so much for joining. And Imran, you're welcome, man. All right, y'all take care. I'm out. Peace.